Think about what I said just now about letting your gains ride. It's a prescription that you must have heard not just from me, but from many other people claiming to talk to you about investing and markets. Buy something and hold on to it forever as long as it's doing well. More versions of the same thing. Think about that for a moment though. If you've bought something and you're sitting on multiple sized gains 5 times, 10 times, isn't it tempting to take some profits or all of it? Buying is easy. Holding is the hard thing to do. What I tell people very often when they are fortunate enough to be in such situations is to take a partial profit. Get that stress to take the gain out of your system. Even if you do end up, because of some momentary market blip or panic in your soul or whatever, that you liquidate the entire position, buy it back. But this is something also that we find hard to do. If you've just sold something at 5,000 rupees per share, how can you bring yourself to buy it back at 6,000? This is another cognitive bias that many of us are afflicted by. It's known as anchoring. You're anchored to that price of 5,000 at which you sold it, and you cannot get that out of your minds. One other personal story I need to tell you, if only because my students over the years have always told me that I should keep telling it. This has to do with a company called Amazon. I've watched it since it went public the first time 30 years ago. This was a company that was overvalued by any stretch, by any metric that you looked at it. Its stock price was always way too high. I would buy it, I would trade it, I would short it, I would lose money on it all the time, because I said, how can a stock like this be worth what it's trading at? Remember when it started, it was selling books and CDs. Who even thinks about CDs now? But Amazon as stock went up, and I woke up one morning and said, all right, why am I on the wrong side of this position all the time? I waited for a time when the price became low, and I bought some. It dutifully did a double on me, and I was dutifully very happy to get out of it saying, at last I made some money on the darn thing. And then I watched it grow another 50%, 60%. Anchoring, which I just mentioned to you, was why I think about getting back into it, because I just sold it 50% below where it was now. A friend tells me, a fairly famous trader friend, tells me that just buy it back, Badri. It's not the same company it was 6 months ago. Now it's not even Amazon, it's Amazon, isn't it? Point of the story is, these are mistakes that you will make. The point is to correct from them, learn from them, and to move on. In conclusion, I want to reiterate one final point, as I do in almost all the videos that are on our platform. If you were to Google cognitive bias or behavioral bias, you will get so many hits and read so many things that very quickly you will start feeling that you, we, us are very terrible decision makers when it comes to financial things. But that is not what I believe. I believe that we are able to recognize the kinds of biases that might sometimes show up in our decision making and use that recognition to help us make better decisions. Indeed, as I am talking to you today, neuroscientists who've been studying how the brain works are slowly beginning to gather evidence to suggest that in some fashion parts of our brain are hardwired to make us make the kinds of decisions we end up regretting at some later point in our lives. My purpose is to use that knowledge about how our brains work, not to be worrying about bad decisions, but to help us make better ones. I hope you enjoyed this topic in this module, and please come back to our platform for education for more. Thank you.